Hello, hello, hello. I am so glad to be here. Listen, mastering yourself in order to master your business is the goal, the job of every business owner, entrepreneur, and even independent solopreneur, right? Because this is where it all happens. No matter what happens in your business, it all starts with you and pivots on your ability to effectively navigate those waters, right? So, how does that work? How? That is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Understanding the power of words happening in your mind and coming out of your mouth changes absolutely everything. But if your current reality leaves you wanting more time, more freedom, then you are in the right place. So I want to, hello. I am so glad that you are here. Thank you for saying hello. If you're here with me now or on a replay, please put it in the chat. I love to have conversations with you. I feel like this is the space we get to meet in, right? This is our new sort of virtual space that we get to be in. And what's magical about it for me is that it crosses time zones and it crosses, spatial confines, and nobody has to get on planes just to be in this one space together right now. So please put it in the chat where you're watching from. And I am coming from, you may know, I'm coming from you live today from Massachusetts in the US. So hashtag replay if you are coming from, if you're on a replay. Otherwise, let me know where you are too. All right, listen, we have to make sure that you can hear me and everything. So it looks like there are people here and they are listening. So let me know if there's a problem. Looks like everything's okay though. Woohoo! Okay. So the amazing power of words in your business. We use words a lot, don't we? When you think of what can help you achieve business success, usually the first things that come to mind are way more tangible, right? They're like plan of action kind of ideas, like I'm going to change my marketing, or I'm going to look into the latest automation, or even like I should hire a VA or a freelancer or an employee, or some of the ways people try to solve the growth problem, right? So all those different things. We try to get more customers. We're chasing. But the most effective and free thing that you can do for yourself, the tool that you can learn, is really this ancient technology, right? This technology that is your mouth and the words that you speak, which can help change the absolute trajectory of your business, because there's power in each word, right? Are you guys with me? Hey, love it. Oh, good. I'm glad you're here. Hey there, Dr. V. So good to see you. Jesse, Kathy, wonderful. Thanks. Oh, good luck on your live. Appreciate you stopping by. So let's discover how words can lead to success or failure in your day-to-day interactions, right? Your projects, hey, Jenny, good to see you. Even your business, right? Your total business. So first, let's start with, I am sorry. I got distracted because I cannot be in the same virtual room with Dr. V without laughing at everything he says. I think he might be the funniest person I ever met. Mouth to manifestation technology. He's absolutely right. Hitting the nail on the head right there, right? So words are our mode of communication, right? More than ever before, right? Because now we are less and less in person. So there's less and less reading body language or understanding the energy of a room, right? It's all right here. It's all through a camera. It's with a microphone. It's with the screen. If you're lucky, you got a nice big screen so that you can figure it out, right? But it's in emails, right? Now we are speaking to one another in totally different ways. So the word has become much, much, much more important. So thank you. That's so great. Okay. So we rely on this more than we have ever relied on it before. So each word that we use and how we construct sentences has the power to deepen our communication with others or to leave them confused and frustrated. You've all experienced this, right? When you've tried to read instructions written by someone who already knows how to do the thing, right? They forget to say, oh, and you have to click the button in order to get there. Or if you're house sitting or something for somebody and they know that the thermometer is over there and they write you the instructions and say, make sure that the thermometer is set, and you spend, 3/4 of an hour looking for the thing. These are clarity, right? Our words can create clarity if we use them properly. So learning advanced communication styles is really the purview of every successful business owner, right? But I want to take it a step further with you. Today, we're going to talk about how words gather power in a societal way and in personal context, right? And how we can amplify ourselves, our intentions, or our worries, right, through the use of solidifying concepts into words. These things that we just call words and we think are easy going and we can go fast and we can just, right? When we don't use them fully or we use them improperly, we end up with results we don't want, right? Actually, one of the most interesting stories that I've ever come across with a client is understanding. This is not even, I didn't intend to even tell you guys this, but you are inspiring me to it. I worked in the theater for a very long time. And when you work in the theater, you work with the same people kind of over and over again, but often you won't see them for months and months, maybe years. So there's short periods of time with people and they're super intense. Everybody has to go really fast. We have a long, long day and we got to get a ton done in it. So people skip all of the niceties, right? They get right to the point all the time. Whereas if we go out into the business world and we behave like that, then people call us demanding, right? They call us rude. That's what it is, rude, right? But that is a mode that works within your business only during times of high stress and big projects, right? It works every time. You can, with people who you already have deeper relationships with because you used all the words, right? All the way along. You were deliberate about how you used your words. You made sure that the way you were using your words got the results that you wanted. Then when you're under a lot of stress, you're going very fast, you have, you're in theatrical mode or whatever it is that you got to be, then you can cut out 3/4 of the words and still get there and nobody gets offended. But you have to know when and how to use those things. So I'm going to go back to my little story here about how words carry meaning. So we agree to what the meaning of words are, right? And when we don't agree is when we tend to have a lot of problems. So sometimes words can change their meaning over time drastically. Like if you take the word nice was not so nice when it entered the English language, okay? At one point it meant silly, foolish, ignorant, right? It was then at the same time it was being used in other contexts for showy or elegant and refined, or wanton, or cowardly and unmanly and effeminate, or slothful and lazy, right? Sluggish, or even not obvious or difficult to understand, intricate, right? So it had all these different meanings going on at the same time. So there was a lot of miscommunication. Eventually, it became something else, right? It became, well, over centuries, it became what we mean it today to be, right? Agreeable, pleasant. You are nice. It feels nice, right? That's what we mean. It is a nice day. It's an agreeable temperature out, right? Those are the things that we're using that word for now. But, and this is very unlikely, you have the benefit of time here. So you're not likely to run into anyone from the 14th century in your day-to-day work, right? And have this miscommunication, right? But you may have communication with people from other cultures. So this is where it gets very interesting. In Scandinavia, the word gift in the US has a specific meaning. In Scandinavia, it has two meanings. Neither of them are the same as the US meaning, right? So one means marriage and the other is poison. Okay, so imagine you're telling your VA to send over some gifts to your client, and there could be miscommunication there. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Okay, so you have to societally understand what it is that you're talking about. So there are also nuances in English, right? So when we choose our words very carefully, it conveys a different feeling, a different meaning as you would. Okay, so can you go pick that up? Really different. It goes back to that story I told you about a few minutes ago where we would shorten everything, right? Go pick that up, right? Instead of please pick that up when you have time. Right? So can feel demanding, right? Or just go can feel really demanding. There have been actually studies done between putting the beginning of that sentence on and not putting the beginning of that sentence on, right? Starting with please or not starting with please. And what happens in terms of the response to your command or your desire, right? So the nuances are really, really important in the collective meanings for the word. But again, we're going to take it a step further if you want to. Do you want to? Just put yes in the comments there if you want to go with me, right? Come on. You want to go? You want to go? I know you do. Okay. See, there you go. I was working with a client the other day. And I said, do you want to consider? That was the phrase that I used. Do you want to consider? And then there was the end of the sentence. But before I was able to even finish the sentence, they just blurted out, oh, no, you don't. You cannot tell me what I have to do. You are not the boss of me. Okay, so now we know we're having a different communication than one might think starting a sentence like that, right? So as we unpacked that, what just happened between us, which was not pleasant, but should have been, right? Could have been, right? But we didn't know where did it go awry. I learned that in the early phase of my client's life, that exact phrase, would you consider? Right? Would you consider was the beginning of a demanding process that always ended in the parent forcing the child into a decision, right? Into a course of action, even not even a decision, right? So there are power in the words in our societal way that we use them, right? And there is power in the words, the way that we take them in as individuals. So I'm going to just give you that for a second. Just sit with that for a second because it's a pretty complicated landscape. So imagine that is who you're talking to as your potential client. And you say, would you like to consider the idea of working together? Or would you like to consider the idea of trying out the product? Right? So simple, so simple. But internally, alarm bells are going off for the prospect, right? Yeah, exactly. Triggers. That's right. Triggers. So, and using your power wisely. Absolutely important, but also knowing your power, right? Because sometimes you could stumble into things you don't know. You don't know that that's what's going to happen, but you stumbled on in, and now you've got to go deal with that, right? And in a minute, we're going to talk about how to know before you open your mouth, before you push those buttons that have been so nicely installed into all of us, right? Because we learned these things earlier in life, and then we carry them around, and they're kind of invisible buttons that people push, right? So, bye. Thank you, Dr. V. That's great. So tell me, have you ever had this experience where the person suddenly gets off the phone, you don't know what just happened, or the person suddenly just has to go? They stop communicating. They're no longer emailing you back. Have you ever had this? Just put yes in there, okay? If you have, right? Put it in the comments. Get your mind in alignment with it, right? Yes, I had that experience, right? We talk a lot about this in all of my training programs, about what's happening in your brain when you say yes and you feel yes and you go yes, right? So go ahead. There you go, Jesse. So if this has happened to you and you're thinking like, how do I navigate that? I can't tell what other people's triggers are. That's ridiculous. How am I going to do that? Right? I'm going to tell you right now. There is something that happens internally when we choose each word. There's something that happens inside of us. So in order to get this, I'm going to get a little sciencey on you, okay? So first, we're going to talk a little bit about wave-particle duality. Okay, so this sounds very technical. It kind of is. So I'm going to simplify it, and I'm going to say to you that if you think in quantum physics, there are waves and there are particles. And we always thought, right, they're waves. Waves are like sound waves, right? We know they're waves. We can measure them as waves. And we always thought that there are particles, right? Like, let me see. Here, I always pick this thing up. So this is a particle, right? It is a rock. We know it's a rock. And so it's a particle, right? And so in traditional physics, we've always thought of those two things as very, very separate, right? However, what we have learned in recent years is that there is a duality in it, right? That something can be a wave and a particle at the same time. And what we have also learned is that the observer has an effect on that. So we're going to take this to a metaphysical level, right? These are physics. We're going to take it to metaphysics, okay? So on because this is tiny, right? We're looking at photons here, right? But we're going to extract it and talk about it in our world, the world that actually matters to us, right? So as we do this, we go through, you can think of waves as possibility, right? That they are not stagnant. They are not one thing, okay? They are multiple things, right? And you can think of particles, right? Because you can already think of particles as things. So think of particles as events, something that is true for you, okay? So here we have possibility, here we have reality. That's what we call it, reality, stuff that happens, the real thing, right? So as we do this, and we go into a lot of depth on the science and spirituality of all this in the Spirituality and Business Club, but just to simplify it here, right? That if we live in a state of possibility, and we have done the awareness work, which also we go through in depth in some of my programs, then we can find yes before we collapse that wave into a word. Okay, did you guys stick with me on that? Oh, I got a lot of yeses in there. So I am going to say write wave in there because I love a wave. I know a few of you love a wave too, right? So when we choose a word, not a wave, when we choose a word, we're literally collapsing that, right? We're not literally, figuratively collapsing those waves into particles, right? The particles that make up our world, the words that make up our world, right? Have you guys ever seen this cartoon? I love this cartoon. It's called Word World. You've got to see it. It's hysterical. So the reason that I love this cartoon, which is just a cartoon, it's a child's cartoon. It's not significant in the world other than that, is because what they have done is in this cartoon is they have made the words look like the thing, right? So if it's a barn, it's a word BARN in the shape of a barn, right? So that you're getting the idea that we are creating, right? So we are creating through the word. Now, this I'm going a little far out here, right? Is anybody sticking with me? I think you are, actually. Yeah. Okay, good. So are there any specific words that you all want to talk about? You put them in the chat, in the comments. If there's something very specific words that have different meanings for you or that you've had varied success with, then go ahead and put that right in the comments, and we'll go over those exact words, okay? So now I'm going to go back to this process. As you raise your awareness and you learn to distinguish in your body between yes and no, right? Like we do in the Spirituality and Business Club. I already told you about that a little bit. You can easily be able to choose the best word for your situation. Easily. You will say different things in front of different people and you will wonder, I wonder why I said it that way. But it will be absolutely appropriate because now the brainwave work that we've talked about in plenty of, go back to the other recordings, the brainwave work that's going on between us, right? Okay, I'm going to tell you guys this again. So there's a study where they studied the brain waves of two people in conversation, even when they cannot see one another. And what happens when we agree to communicate with each other is that our brain waves start to harmonize with one another, right? They start to harmonize. They start to become the same, able to speak to one another. There is a space, a way for us to communicate, right? That's what that has to happen there. But if you don't practice that, that's where those words are hidden, right? Is in knowing, yes, I agree to that word, even though I've never said it before. This is actually a really great tool when you're able to do that, to use to translate. So I learned this really early on in my life because I went to school for theater design, but I actually went to school for lighting design and became a sound designer. And I don't think I ever, except for once, turned in a lighting design, right? I went to the lighting class and they said this and this and this about the waves and the photons. And I translated. My brain went, oh, right. Well, I want to talk about sound. So this is what's going on for me, right? And as I did that translation, I began to understand that we can choose words that we agree to in our current conversation that may not even be appropriate when we talk to somebody else, right? But the concepts are the same. So this takes a lot of practice, that raising that awareness, finding that yes, being able to find it before you choose the next word. You should practice it. See what you can do. Once you do it, bumping into other people's hidden triggers will become kind of a non-existent problem for you, right? It will be, you'll just be able to speak to people in their language, right? So the banker, the client, right? They're speaking in different languages, really. They don't have your same language. So how do you write the email to your partner or even write the company handbook in a way that rings true and steady for many years to come? right? All right, I'm going to check in with you guys really quick. Yes, yes, yes. Good. Okay, good. All right, all right. So when you get this right, people treat you really well. Thank you. That's really great. Thank you. Jesse, you stick with me all this time. I'm so glad. I am so glad. When you get it right, people treat you differently, right? They treat you better. You make better decisions. You are in the right place at the right time with the right word, with the right word, with the right word, right? You hold back the word that shouldn't be there. You express the word that should be there. And this is the basis of how your business grows, right? Because when you make better decisions, when you make better choices, when you communicate better, that is what makes business more effortless and less action oriented, right? Easier to get through the barriers. I had someone say to me the other day on a project I was doing that was very difficult. And they said, when you bump into a wall, don't try to go through it. And it's absolutely true, right? If you're doing this work and you are in a heightened state of awareness for your own self, right? And you're in control of your brain waves and your heart waves, and you've got it all going in harmony with one another, then you don't have to go through walls. You don't have to fight fights. You don't end up with big problems. You end up with small problems that you go around, like you're driving a car and you got a big boulder in the road. You go like, okay, I'll just go around it. There's no like this entrance is blocked off and you've got to go 50 miles out of your way in order to get back on the road, right? So that is the difference. Now, I want to tell you guys something really special. On April 13th, so this is coming right up, I have a free program available where I'm going to go into a lot of depth on how to incorporate spiritual concepts and spirituality into your business. It's called 3 Scientific Spiritual Business Secrets. I am going to get you the link right now and put it right in the comments so that you can check it out. If this resonated with you, right, then you definitely want to sign up for that talk. Because if the way that I'm talking about things, I really like, it matters to me to have some science in with what we consider our spiritual choices, right? Our internal choices, our relationship between me and me, right? The me that I don't talk about in public, right? Those kinds of things, the internal person, right? When that person that you don't always parade around can be quieted and happy and at ease inside your business, no matter what's going on, that's worth talking about, right? So there's the link. Give it a try. It's just at scientificspiritualbusinesssecrets.com. And you can register. And of course, if you don't have time or space right now, but you still want the invite, you can always just put me in the comments and I will personally make sure that you get that invite, right? Because it's going to be a really important talk. There's a lot, even just on that page, you will see exactly how that comes out. Let's make sure that it went on. I think it went on all, well, I'm not sure it went on all of the platforms. So I'm going to, oh, it says I can't post it there. I will go back and post this comment for you guys. I will go back right now while we're on camera because I don't see any reason to not, right? You want to make sure that, let's see if we can get to the post. There we are. There we are. There we are. There we are. We don't care if StreamYard doesn't like it. We'll just go around that little rock in the road, right? We got to go around the rocks. Yeah. All right. So it has been a joy to be with you here today. And I will see you next week. Always feel free to reach out to me. Of course, there are always ways to get in touch with me on my website. So if you need help, if you're looking for coaching, if you're just want to reach out and say, what is the schedule? How do I get on the email list? All of those kinds of things, you just feel free to reach out to me, because I do love talking to you. I really do. It's a very cool thing. And I think it's really, it speaks to me very deeply that we get to do this over space and time, right? So I look back at my hashtag replays. So you put it in there. Okay. All right. Bye.